In this video, I'd like to review the good and bad points of this Sanking Flail Mower. It's a 61-inch model. Later on, I have the, how it arrived, the unpacking assembly, and some of the operation, cutting grass and brush. I have about 5 hours on it. So the issues that I found with it, one thing is it's advertised as a quick hitch compatible. I'm not sure that it is, just based on the fact that the outside edges of these brackets are 28 inches, which would theoretically, I don't have a quick hitch, but I think that would match up with a quick hitch. The problem is this bracket is on the outside edge here, but on the inside edge on the other side, it's only 24 inches wide. So I guess they do that so that you can move it back and forth and change the offset, but that makes it quick hitch incompatible, I believe. Also, it slightly offsets the top link. I think the proper way to design this is to make this 19 3/4 to go on both inside brackets, or 28 inches to go on the outside brackets. I'm not sure what they're doing with this design. It's kind of hokey, but it works for me. But I don't think it's going to work for your quick hitch. The appropriate way to adjust this is to move these brackets, design this properly, and then move these brackets back and forth. There are some extra holes here. They could make a set of holes over here and it would work. There's some holes over there. All these holes had rubber plugs in them that popped out. No big deal. You'd have to put bolts in there if you were concerned about that. The chains on the drive shaft almost immediately broke. Drive shaft spun around. This disconnected. I'm not sure exactly why. I had to take it apart and reassemble it to shorten it. It was too long for this tractor. The pins are 3/4, but the bolt hole, or the holes in the brackets, are 7/8. That's not that big of a deal, except that all of the linch pins, because of the way this thing bounces back and forth in operation, it's pretty heavy. It popped all of the linch pins out on the bottom, both linch pins. So I replaced them with 5/16 inch bolts, which are working. This one's a little bent, so really has a lot of pressure on it. I'm going to replace these with 7/8 inch pins. It'll reduce the uneven wear on these brackets and the bottom links. Also allow me to put a larger bolt in here, and I'll also put a large washer. That's the way I'm going to solve that issue. Not sure what this is for. Maybe a larger tractor. It's kind of useless. So that's it for the detrimental things, kind of quirky little things that are annoying that could be easily fixed. So hopefully they'll fix it. Now for the good stuff. This works well, heats up in operation, but it's still, you can touch it. It's not that hot. It is a free run clutch, overrun clutch, so it doesn't provide any power back to the tractor when you shut it off. It takes a while to spin down. This cover is decent. It relies on flex of the cover to keep this bolt in place. I'm planning on put a sleeve over the bolt and a lock nut here. That would just be an upgrade to prevent that from ever loosening up. Also, after 5 hours of pretty significant operation, it looks pretty much like new. It really did a good job. I'm happy with that. The bearings look stout and perform well. It's smooth operation. And yeah, that's about it. The rest of the video is just unpacking, assembly, and operation videos. Thanks. Okay, after I measured the PTO shaft, determined there was 7 inches that needed to be removed. So I'm going to remove 3.5 inches from each guard, and I removed 3.5 inches from each of the PTO shafts. And I'm just going to clean them up. I'm going to put some grease on it, so it slides good, and put it back together. Okay, got my drive shaft back together. It was a learning experience. Things that I learned were these are not the same size. They have different bearings and different size cups. You got to match them up if you're reassembling it. I went ahead and drilled through the bearing, the plastic bearing, so it would line up with this grease nipple. That wasn't drilled either. That's not that big of a deal. And yeah, in order to get these tubes back in place after you get the end covers on, you just tap it. You just tap it on a table and they'll pop right in. All right, I'm going to put this in place. There's a little, this, by the way, is the shear bolt. If it breaks, you'll know it. To put this on, you just press this little button right here. There's a little spring button that, press that, goes right on the tractor. I'm ready to put oil in the transfer case of this Sanking Flail Mower. Got it all leveled out, and there's actually 2 oil galleries on this. There's one on this drive shaft, which probably serves this bearing, and then there's another one here in the main differential. The fill holes here, and the drain hole, not the drain hole, but the fill level hole is here, and of course the fill hole's here, and then the fill level hole is actually down in here, right here. I've got my finger on it, so I'm gonna have to take off this plastic cover to get to it. Okay, I've got 3 different size nuts on this thing. I've got a 22 millimeter socket, a 19 millimeter socket, and the fill holes are 8 millimeter Allen wrenches. Okay, I'm ready to add oil. I'm going to use the same procedure for both of the oil galleries. The meager owner's manual that came with the machine didn't really specify a type of oil. Most of the time they specify 80W90. I've heard of people using EP00 for low speed gearboxes. I'm using 75W140. You use whatever you think is good, or call the factory. Maybe if you speak, maybe you could figure it out. So here we go. That's a lot of oil. There we go. Now I'll put the nuts back on and do the same thing on the other one. Don't really have torque specs for this. I'm just going to put them on tight so it doesn't leak. Okay, completed adding the grease. Put about 1.2 quarts in the differential there, and about less than half a quart in the drive shaft. So 2 quarts would do you on that. I took the cover off of the belts. There's 4 B1016 belts. I think that will be fine for my little 24, 25 horse tractor. I also greased everything. I put a whole tube of grease in this thing. Got 4 grease fittings, 1 on each side for the main bearings and 1 on each side for the roller, the support roller. And when you grease these things, you want to make sure you can see grease coming out. If you look in the back there, you can see the grease came out the back, so I know that bearing is properly greased. Same with this one. And I'm going to clean these up, but that's what you want to see. Now the one on the other side, the roller is exactly the same. But this one, you can't really see the grease coming out. But I put the same amount in and I could hear it going in. The other thing I noticed after I jacked this thing up, the whole sickle bar, the whole bar is wrapped up. So I'm going to have to take that wrapping off. Also greased up the drive shaft. It's a single Zert fitting. I got to clean that up, obviously. And then I greased the little plastic bearings too. So that's it. Here's some of the brush that I cleared with the Flail Mower. There's some that still needs to be done. I cleared this whole area out here. And I just wanted to show the size of the brush that it cut. Here's some palmettos. You can see pushed over some oak trees. Let's see, chopped them up. Well, this whole area. So that's a pretty tall brush. Basically just pushed it down, which I'm sure is not recommended, but it worked. Here you can see a 3-inch piece of looks like pine, or no, that's oak that red oak that I shredded slowly by just slowly going at it. Pushed it down, chopped it up, so that's bigger than what it's rated for, but it did it.